Test.
All right. Hey, welcome everybody. Welcome back, I should say. We are now having our first interview in a very long time. Like I mentioned yesterday, and the few days prior, we're kind of trying something new here. We're going to, instead of interviewing exclusively guilds, we're going to interview personalities from UO. Not necessarily personalities from a specific shard or anything like that. People who have made an impact on the UO community. Because that's what UO Radio is about, the community, bringing people together, and the people who have been huge contributors. That's the word I'm looking for, contributors to the community. I've got two very special guests with me today. And if this format sounds a little familiar, you must sit up late at night after I've already passed out and watch the Jay Leno show. So, basically what we're going to do is I'm going to interview a couple of very special people here today. I've got the Eggman, and I've got Cybernickel with me today. We're going to start out with the Eggman. So I'm going to welcome him in. He's going to sit down on the chair next to me, as if I were Johnny Carson. I'll hold the card to my head and go, okay. No, I'm kidding. So I want to welcome both of them and let them just say a quick hello to everybody. So Cybernickel, go ahead.
Hello, everyone. Time out. I need a drink.
Go ahead, Eggman. Go ahead and say hello to everybody out there.
Hello, everyone. Eggy here. I've got a spider beside me and my rum on the other side. So.
Oh, what a perfect sandwich, huh? Yeah, if you couldn't tell, the Eggman's from over the ocean there. He's across the pond over in the UK. Extremely talented artist. For those who have who have followed his tales and his cartoons over the years, you'll know that the man is extremely talented, very funny, and very creative. And he's also a huge supporter of UO Radio and always has been, and that's why we're kind of excited to have him here today, not to mention he's a good friend of mine. I guess we can start out really with a very simple question. Where did you get, what made you decide to concentrate all your efforts into designing cartoons about Ultima Online, Eggman?
Well, it wasn't actually planned. It was something that it took me by surprise. It's nothing that I'd intended. It wasn't on the cards. I hadn't intended to do it. I hadn't actually done any drawing for years. I mean, I sort of basically got on with the family life and everything, and I think out of the blue I was a little bit bored one day, and in work I was stuck in a dinner break, and I decided to knock up this quick cartoon about two noobs. That's the very first one you'll see on the site. The Tale of Two Noobs. I stuck it on the Shard forum for a joke, just a quick joke, and the response I got from it was just so great. I just thought, wow, it really took me back. So I did another, and then I found myself doing more and more, and then before I knew it, I was creating a website just on one of the free web space sites, just so I could host the cartoons. Back then, that was before it was Sassari Tales, and then it basically grew from there. The more people got interested with it, it expanded as it went along.
Yeah, I can remember the very first one coming out and being absolutely hysterical because everybody knows the noob. That artist, he did based on generic MMORPGs or whatever. But yours are specifically about UO, which is just great. And Oh, well, you know what? Let's go back a little bit then. What's your background as far as an artist goes? How did you get into drawing cartoons? Was this a hobby, or is this your personal or your professional job? How did you get so talented? I can't think of a better way to put it.
Well, I think it was just something I was always good at from when I was a kid. It was just one of my talents. I always did well with my art, and I saw when I left school, I went to go on to college and everything. I come out, I had like decent grades, and I decided like, no, I mean, from a very early age, I went and got a job, and I settled down, and I had a family very young. I think I was 18 when I had my first child, and I've got like 4 kids, so I strayed away from it, and it just become something in the background I didn't do. I think I sold a few pictures for a little while. I was doing like battle scenes and like things like ship scenes, like the Spanish Armada, things like that, and then it just sort of fizzled out, and I didn't do anything for years and years. And I mean, still now I work at the university for the estates department. Nothing glamorous or anything, and it's just for fun. I mean, I know I've got a part on the site where it's got sales and things like the shop, but to be honest with you, I don't even make any money out of that. I give most of it away. When people contact me, half the people that contact me, I end up doing the stuff for free anyway. It's just, I think because I hadn't done it for so long, getting back into it, I realised what I was missing, and I really, really enjoy it now, and I just do it for fun, really. That's all.
Yeah, and so basically, and it is definitely a passion with you. You can see that in the work, and I'm going to post a link in here. If you guys could just give me like 2 seconds real quick to post this link in here. For those listening right now who have never been to Eggman's site, Saurian Tales, let me post a link in here. Never mind. Mick Viceroy just beat me to it. Definitely go visit the site and look at the cartoons. There have been numerous people who have done this stuff over the years, but in my opinion, as far as UO exclusive cartoons go, Eggman is the only one that's really monopolized it. He kind of ranks up there, in my opinion, with Midas, with his parodies of the songs. So, with your newfound passion, I'm sorry. Now that you're back into it full time, I know you've been doing a lot of stuff lately. Let me ask you this, and this has been a question that's been on my mind for a couple of years now. What's your favorite tune? What's the favorite one you've done so far?
Ooh, that's a good one. I don't know. I haven't really thought about it in that sense. I think every time I do one, when I do the latest one, I sort of think, oh, I like this one. This one's better than the last one, and then I do another one, and I end up there. I think my favourite one so far, I would say, is the one I'm working on at the moment. So not plugging it or anything, but it isn't actually a UO storyline. It was sent in to me by someone from Shard. They sent me a link to a forum. It was basically a joke somebody had sent in, and I've took it and I've UOized it. I've added I've done everything sort of based around that UO theme, so that it is still UO related. But and it's quite a big one for me, because normally when I do the tunes, there will be about two pages, sometimes 2.5. This one's actually 4 pages. So, and even then I had trouble squeezing it in. So, and I really like this one, because I think this is a little different for me. So I really enjoyed doing this one. So I look forward to doing this when this one comes out, to see people's responses. But I would say, yeah, definitely this one I'm working on at the moment.
Yeah, I've noticed that every time you come out with something new, it gets a little bit better and better and better. I wanted to go into the wallpapers, because that's another section of your website that's really, really popular. And trust me, the plugs here are completely acceptable. That's they're completely acceptable. Have no shame in that. The wallpapers really draw a lot of people. So, of all the wallpapers, let me ask you this: what's your favorite one there?
I have to think about that one. To be honest, I think it's the one I've done of you and Catherine. I really like that one. I like the darker side to it, with all the gore, the blood, and the darkness to it. I really enjoyed that. I really do love doing the wallpapers. I think because when I actually work on them, and I do them just off the top of my head, the one like the elven ones and stuff, it's just pretty run-of-the-mill stuff. I love it when I can somebody sends me a picture of a character, or which I like doing when I run the competitions every now and again, and people send me, like, I always say to them, send me a paper doll image. I love creating that into a wallpaper or adding them into a toon, and just just like changing that from that paper doll figure into what I would imagine their character would look like in toon form. And I think out of all of them so far, the one with you and Catherine, I really enjoyed, because I think that's the only one I've done where it's actually got a red, a PKer on there so far. So yeah, that one for me.
I'm flattered. Like, you wouldn't believe right now. I'm almost blushing. I haven't blushed since I was like 12. No, that is a good one. I have it as my own wallpaper, as a matter of fact, only because that is just the best semblance of my character over on Siege Perilous. I love it. And I know that a lot of people have me and Catherine up as their wallpaper. And what you're in the middle of right now, though, is you're actually doing characters of UO Radio DJs. From and we got the Trollman was the first one to be debuted, and not to mention the legends from UO Radio who helped to get the station started. Yeah, give us a little idea, give us a little hints about what's upcoming with these new wallpapers for the UO DJs, the UO Radio DJs rather.
Well, yep, I've already got 3 I've done. I love, because I mean, for me, whenever unfortunately I can't get UO Radio in work for some reason. It just we've got like a firewall that is just like something off another planet there, and nothing gets through. But what I generally do when I'm working on the tunes at night indoors, I'll always listen to UO Radio. I love listening to the DJ. The interaction and everything's great, and I've actually even got a couple of the cartoons that actually been spawned from the IRC in here, like Rainbow Warrior was one. It was a conversation that was in the IRC, and that was spawned from UO Radio. So for me, it's like I mean, you guys give up all your spare time. It's all voluntary, so why not me give that back and return the favour. I've got so far Trollman, I've got a Town Drunk wallpaper, and Sandman one. The next 2 on the hit list is you, Spider-Bite, and I've got Amber as well I've got to work on. So, and from there on, I think from there, Vampira, and on from there. But the next 2, you and Amber.
Vampira is going to be a good one, too. You want to talk dark. You're going to get dark, all right, buddy. What other sort of ventures are you looking at doing after all of this? I mean, I know you work a lot. I mean, when you work in your real job, of course you can't listen to us. You do join us in the IRC chat when you can. And just so those out there listening know, the Eggman is in here whenever he can in the IRC chat to chat with him. We've posted his link in there, and we will continue to post that throughout the show here. And let you guys know, we're going to keep doing that, only so you can go check it out, because you need to be exposed to these cartoons. These cartoons are hysterical. I have my favorites, and I'm going to talk to Eggman about a few of them here in a moment. But just so I can plug him really quickly, CaesarianTales.com. That's the way you do it. go there, read the cartoons, download the wallpapers especially. The wallpapers are absolutely hysterical. Let me ask you this, Eggman. Do you have any at all? And this is not a shameful thing if you don't, because I have a best friend from high school who was just absolutely brilliant, almost in an autistic sort of way, a cartoonist. Do you have any professional training as a cartoonist?
Nope, not at all. It was, to be honest, cartooning isn't the normal stuff I do. It was, the reason I sort of stuck with that theme was it all spawned from that one quick, funny gag cartoon I posted in the Shard forum. I mean, generally my stuff is, I tend to lean more towards the realism side. I'll do a lot more detail. I'll do my stuff in pencil, and I'll do things like battle scenes, what have you. That was just like a little fun thing I'd done, and it's all come from there. But I've got to admit, it's been great. I've really enjoyed doing it. I think it was a great decision I made. It's been one of those things throughout the years. I've always said, I'd love to, make a bit of money on the side or get into my art side, but I've never really pushed myself to that extent to want to do it. I've always been content doing what I'm doing, but now I'm really happy. I've got a few other things on the horizon. I've got, believe it or not, a kids book I'm working on. I'm doing the illustration for a kids book with one of your old DJs here, so that's something I'm really enjoying doing. It's totally different for me, not having people's heads flying off or getting their backside fried by a mage, whatever. But I've got I got contacted the other day about doing a small cartoon for the Red Hot Chili Peppers official fan club site, and most of it, to be honest, is just fun off my own back, like doing stuff for the UO radio, the wallpapers, and just doodles for people and things. I just love doing it. It takes up, to be honest, a great deal of my time now. I find myself coming home from work and I'll be sitting on the PC and doing whatever, but I love it. What I was saying the other day to someone, God, I can't understand what I was doing for the last few years. I think I'd be lost if I wasn't tuning in now. So.
That is awesome that you have a contract to do a children's book. Tell us about that, or tell us at least as much as you can. Having had a book deal myself, I know you're kind of limited on what you're allowed to say about the book itself, but tell us about that. How'd that come about? What's it going to be about? Whatever you can tell us about it. That sounds really exciting.
Well, I don't want to give too much away because I'm not sure if the person actually wants to have it broadcast or anything yet. But it's basically it's just a kids book aimed at children, like in the lower age groups. I'd say like about 4 or 5 things like that. And it's mainly picture orientated. And as far as I'm aware, there's about another 5 or 6 books in the set. It's great. I love working with a person. She's absolutely great. A real pleasure to talk to, and I have great fun. Talk to them every day. You actually know them. They're one of your ex DJs. So and I think it was they sort of met me through the site and through the UO community, which is great for me. Which is one of the main features of UO. It's just meeting the amount of people I've met. Just through that, and people that have asked me to do stuff, just through that, the community side of things, and not official, unofficial, across the board. The amount of mails I get through the website is great, just from people saying hello to ideas for tunes, from people asking for things, and it's terrific. Yeah, I mean, and hopefully this is just going to be the tip of the iceberg. I'm going to be getting a lot more, and I just love it. For me, it's not the thing of getting huge and having just getting really well known for it. It's just that I'm actually not wasting it, and I can share it with other people, and they can enjoy it and have a laugh at what I do, and it's great. It's non-offensive. Well, I don't know, sometimes, but people enjoy it. So as long as people enjoy it, I'll keep on doing it.
Wow. Yeah. No. Unfortunately, you're already beyond well known. I went off and prematurely mentioned that we might be having the Eggman on today, as we do right now. For those just tuning in, by the way, we have the Eggman of SaurianTales.com with me, along with Cybernickel, who will be chiming in just a bit. Chime. We have, you're already well known. I'm sorry. As soon as I mentioned that on several different sites, I got ICQs that overwhelmed me. I'm going to say probably within the number of around 10 or 12 different ICQs constantly up blinking, going, what time, what time, what time? You have a lot of fans already. With that in mind, let's talk about, I know you don't want to push it because you like to do this stuff for fun, but the Ye Shop, you do character portrait and avatar sets for the forums, full-length character portraits. We have text banners. Banners, there's a big thing right there. Let's talk about banners. Stratix people and guild forum people really dig the banner stuff. What is your specifications? What do you require from the people? What would you like for people who would like a custom banner done? For example, my own. Matter of fact, I'll post that in the IRC while you tell us about this. But what would you like to hear from them as far as getting their own banner done or their own signature done?
Well, it all depends what they want, really. If they want a picture of their character done, then I'll always say send me a 2D image, the 2D paper doll. I can't deal with a 3D one for some reason. You can't seem to get the detail off of the guys. It's like very, very odd the way it portrays it. I think the 2D paper doll seems to it shows everything you need to see. I'll always ask for them to send me one of that, and just basic information about the character they want, whether he's good, evil, PKer, just some traits, the way people would, what they would think their character has, what makes them, and then. Other than that, if it's like a guild banner, I would the same sort of things. Do they want? I will generally base it around something like, say, there's a character called Pyro. Obviously, then you would base that on fire. I try to sort of base things around the names and the wording of things, but other than that, just some basic details. It's normally around whether they're chaotic or whether they're lawful, and just generally what the guild's about, and then from that I can sort of just do an average thing. I try to stay in full contact with the people when I'm doing the banners, what have you, anyway, so they can give me feedback, and then we can sort of like work together on it. It's not just a case of them sort of saying, oh, hey, I want this, and then I'll do it and say, well, that's it, end of story. It's a joint thing. We go along it together. I'll give them feedback and send them samples and say, hey, like, what colours do you want? And we can work on it together. And then I find through that I can get exactly what the people are looking for. And the same with the characters as well. When I'm doing wallpapers, what have you, if I can sort of base it all around just the information they send. I did it. Sort of work on doing sort of almost like a questionnaire when people want me to do stuff. They fill in the questionnaire, but I just thought it was so robotic and boring. I think I ended up scrapping the idea. I'd much rather actually talk to people over mail or MSN and just get it that way, and then that way I get to know the people a little bit better as well. Going back to that UO community thing again as well, and it's just constant feedback from people. That for me is what UO's all about. So.
Well, that brings up a good question. You mentioned that the wallpaper you did for me and Catherine, which, by the way, the people who are listening, this is no butt kissing or anything at all, but The Eggman here surprised me on April Fool's Day, of course, with a link to the wallpaper. I had no idea what he was doing. He just sent me the link, and I thought it was an April Fool's joke until I saw it on his site. And it was probably one of the best wallpapers on the site, artistically. Not because my character's mug was sitting there, but because it was because you and I know each other pretty well and have dealt with you since you came over to Rio Radio and interacted with all the listeners and the DJs and stuff like that. Do you think that personality, getting to know the person, really makes a huge difference in what you're doing with your artwork?
Oh yeah, I mean, for me, it's different. I mean, people bring their own thing to Euro. People have a different perspective on what the game is, as well. Some people just like the PvP side. They like the challenge and the, of going in and fighting and like training and everything. And then other people will approach it with an attitude of they like it almost as a solo player game, or they will want to do PVM, and they will go out and just do their own thing and not mix. And then others like me are in it mainly for the community. Like I've even created characters purely for bank sitting. I think that the latest character I created was, I think I even GM'd Spirit Speak, because the way I figured it, well, if I'm going to sit at the bank and talk to people, why not talk to the dead ones as well? And for me, it's just like it's community and getting to know the people and going in the IRC chats and talking to people and mixing with them and getting to see what they're all about. I love all that. I think it's great. It's not only do you get to see their real personality there. It's weird that you can go into and play a game with them and they can be a completely different person. I mean, they could be absolutely brilliant family guy who's absolutely like loving and caring and do anything for you in the chat room, and then you'll go in game with them and they'll just decapitate you at the drop of a hat. It's brilliant. That's what it's all about.
You have no idea how close to the mark you are, considering that. Well, like you said, I was the first, red PK or whatever that you've done. That actually exists in the game. Not that I'm much of a PK, but I'm pretty pathetic, actually. But there are people. You're right. I talk on a daily basis with people in TeamSpeak and in ICQ on a daily, or even make trades with them, who are just the most merciless killers in UO. At least on Siege Perilous. Yet, in TeamSpeak or Vent or wherever, they are the funniest, friendliest people you'll ever meet. It's the characters they play. And I guess that's why you have to get to know the people in order to do something like a signature or a character portrait to give them that personality. And that's where I think you came out with me and Catherine, because you've known me and Catherine for a little while, and came out with that personality in the both of us. Anything to add on that? I mean, it's all about getting to know the people, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, for sure. It's a lot of the characters in the tunes as well are they're based around people I've played with and stuff. Like I think one of the biggest guys in the towels is BP, Big Purple, and now that's actually based on a guy. There's another Brit actually called Barney in game, and I mean he's terrific. I've sat when obviously bank sitting, and then I sit and I watch him, and he's one of these guys. Every time a female character comes along, it's brilliant. He'll be there chatting them up, and it's absolutely fantastic to watch him. And it's just like I don't know. I suppose writers do the same thing when they sit and they just take in all of their surroundings and everything that goes on, and they draw on the experiences that happen around them. And for me, it's the same sort of thing, but with the characters. And I love it. I'll sit and I'll watch what goes on while I'm bank sitting, and just watch what people do. And these people, they sort of the characters get born from that. BP obviously was like Barney, and then there's the other one, Necronickel, is another big one in there. That was based on a character in game, was a necromancer called Nature Warrior. It's they're all based on actual like people from in game. Just playing around them and getting the feel of them and what they do, and even going back to the way they talk and react with people in forums and like in the forum chat and you know, flaming and everything. It's great, the interaction, and you can just pick up and you just can create any characters you want. I think I've created vast amounts of characters in the tales just based around people. I've just sat mainly from bank sitting watching people make complete knobs out of themselves. It's terrific. The possibilities are endless.
You and I have a lot in common, and we've already talked about that in the past together privately, but when I do my random travels, it's the same way. I just kind of sit around and wait for somebody to approach me and talk to me, and I try to make the interaction interesting. Let's use that quote unquote interesting. I may instigate it or something like that, but it sounds like you do the same kind of thing. Let me ask you this: when you're in game and you're looking around for an idea for your next tune, have you ever like gone off and just kind of like wandered off to some like a dungeon or to a certain town or bank sat or whatever, wherever you're going to go get your ideas from, and kind of went over and poked fun or done something to just like instigate an idea to get somebody going?
It depends where I am, actually. It's really weird you should say that, because it's like it depends if I'm known or not, because I tend to find out if I'm like on a place where nobody knows me, I can just sit around and I sort of take in my environment, and you know, and I'll just get ideas from there. But if I'm in a place where people know me, sometimes people tend to actually make an arse of themselves just so that they can get in on the challenge.
I know what you mean. I've had a couple times where I've done that myself. Most of the time, when I create a character on another shard, it's either as DJ Spiderbite or I'll come in as another alternate character, just so I can go check my bank boxes and stuff like that. And it's more interesting when people don't know who you are. They think you're a newbie. So I understand exactly where you're coming from with that. You mentioned aspirations for the future. You know, I know you're doing a lot of stuff for us here at UO Radio, but once you're done with all of that, what do you plan going forward with Caesarean Tales? You know, where do you see that going?
To be honest with you, I don't think I'll ever be finished with UO Radio. It would be, I think I would always be doing stuff for you guys, and if you was to ask me, or Viceroy was to ask me if he needed like a little this or a little designing done or anything, I think I'd always be around for that. As far as the site's concerned as well, I'll plod along doing it. I'll carry on as long as I'm able. To be honest with you, I love doing it, and even with all the other stuff I've got going on, it's something I always still like to try and do. Even with my playing, sometimes my playing's pretty, it's up and down. Sometimes I'll play, I won't touch UO for a month or two, and then other times, like over the last couple of nights, I can't leave it alone. I'll be up till 2, 3 in the morning listening to UO Radio and you know, playing away, but still, even if I'm playing or not, I've always got the next tune rolling around upstairs thinking, oh, what am I going to do for the next one? And I absolutely hate it when something happens and there's like a huge gap between the next one, because I always just think, oh my god, you know, I hope people aren't going to lose interest, because I love doing it. For me, that's what keeps it going. And if I can get something out of that, if I could get, you know, I don't know, maybe if somebody was to come along and say, hey, you know, look, we love that, we want you to do a little something for us, and you know, it could have like maybe a future attached to it, well, all the better. Yeah, I'm on for it. But to be honest with you, I've not really, you know, using that as a stepping stone just so that I can shoot off and, you know, propel myself into something better. For me, it was created solely for fun and enjoyment, and as long as people are enjoying it, I'll carry on doing it.
Oh, that's such a great way to look at it. I love that. And that's what I love from the community, period, is that people do that, like just like kind of like our own DJs. They don't get paid. They don't get any kind of compensation. They get to go on the air and play music for people while they go out and do champ spawns and stuff, while you're going out, and every time I see the announcement on Stratix or UO.com, it's great to see, oh, there's a new tune out. There's a new tune from Caesarean Tales out. The Eggman has launched another one. It's great to see. Hey, while we're talking about your in-game experiences, I heard that I heard a rumor. Okay, I didn't. I heard it directly from you. That you have created a Siege character. Why don't you give us a little background about your first day or two over on Siege?
I can give you a background about my first 5 minutes. Logged in, I think I went away probably to go a pee or pour a glass of rum, and I come back and I had the grey box saying, Puffy has murdered you. Do I want to report him as a murderer? Which of course I did. But yeah, basically that was it. So there's fresh meat on Siege. Everyone look out for the Eggman and hunt him down. I love it. I don't know. It's different. When I logged on there the other day, everybody's been talking about it, and I just thought, oh well, I'll have a look, see what it's like, and it was like really strange. It's completely different to the other ones. I kind of like it, and there's so much stuff that is completely different on there. It's great. I mean, I got killed within 5 minutes. An hour later, I was in the graveyard and I met somebody called Thinner, and they were helping me, and they really helped me, and it was great. I like it. I mean, straight away already, I think I've probably communicated more with people on there than I have on a lot of others I've played. I like to sort of dabble and go in and out and play loads, but I don't know. I quite like Siege. I think I could definitely make it a frequent it quite a lot more than I do with the others.
Yeah, I love to hear that, because people like you have a great attitude when they come to Siege, because it is kind of a uphill climb. It's quite different from what people are used to. So when you told me that today, I just really, that's why I had to ask you that question, is because a lot of people will back off. We've had others on here, on the talk shows on Sundays, who are like, I tried it once and I got PK'd, and that was it for me. And when you meet somebody who has such a great attitude about it, it's like, you know what, I got killed, so what? I'm going to go out and do the same thing I just did 5 minutes ago anyways. It's always good to hear that. And that's why I brought that up. One thing that came to mind when you mentioned that, though, do you see you mentioned earlier, when you did my wallpaper, for example, the dark and gory and the bloody side of your cartoon. Can you see like a whole new opportunity of cartoons coming out of your adventures over on Siege, for example?
Oh yeah, yeah. I'd say so. Yeah, I mean it's really. I think the reason I base a lot of my tunes around things like, I don't know if you've noticed, if you read through them, you'll see a lot of the tunes are based around noobs, and I think that is because I'm just like the never-ending noob. I just seem to create a character, and I'll go on. Just when he starts getting somewhere, I'll create another one, and even the characters I've had for like 4 years, they're still crap. I'm absolutely useless. I never PvP. I'm absolutely hopeless at PvP. I get owned by things like sheep when I PvM. I'm absolutely useless at fighting. I think that if they created a skill called GM bank sitting, I would be wonderful at it. I think I'd just top everyone at it. But coming on to Siege, I just thought, wow, this is actually like, I've never actually got into that side of it before. So, I mean, if somebody wants to have a new prodigy and, train me up, maybe, if I get into that PK inside of things, I could see a whole new front of tunes, yeah, for sure. Because I've noticed there's a lot, on the site, the site for me, it's not just about my stuff. I'd like to sort of make it a HQ for UO comedy. And there's things in there. People were always talking about a cartoon called Bone Dude and Plate Dude, and a lot of the main ones when I go through them, everybody's favourites. They seem to all be based around. They all seem to be based around PKing, which is really weird. When I go through things like I'm a Newbie, which is great, which is one of obviously the inspirations for me. When I look at things like that, it's like from one scale to the other. You've got the PKs and you've got the newbies. Now I seem to be focusing more on that. I would like to expand it, and obviously by getting a bit more personal experience in game, and going and maybe going out and learning how to PK people. Yeah, I think I could see a whole new horizon for the tunes for sure.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, no, you'll actually. I definitely won't be your protege, because I suck, even though I'm fully trained up as far as I can go, legendary everything, and I still suck. I still have personality, though. That's what matters. I think you'll have a good time over there. I look forward to seeing you around more over on Siege, whether I'm killing you or saying hello. You mentioned inspirations. The Newbie is one of them. Any others that you have? I don't care if it's UO related or not. I mean, I don't care if Don Martin is an inspiration. What kind of inspirations have you had that led you into the doing the cartoons in the first place, or drawing for that matter?
I think I like the I'm a Newbie thing was like a real big thing with the UO cartoons. I've actually tried to contact the site a couple of times. I haven't had much joy. There's a couple of tunes on there I would love to redo in my cartoon style, but I wouldn't do it without obviously his consent. Getting hold of him seems to be like a real major problem. Apart from that, going back, there's actually a WoW comic called Heroes of WoW. It's a German artist. Absolutely love him. It's brilliant. I read them all the time. I think he's absolutely superb. That is like a real good thing for me. It's like a source of learning. And everything I do, like you said earlier, every time I do a tune, you'll notice I'm constantly drawing in things from my surroundings and other sources, and they change every time I do one. There'll be a slight change, and it's like a learning curve for me. But going way back from, I think, the early days when I really loved the cartooning, I would say Brett Ewings was a real big inspiration for me. He's another Brit artist. He used to do stuff, Bad Company, a comic called Bad Company. He did a game called Chainsaw Warrior. He used to do 2000 AD. I was really heavily into 2000 AD and Scream, all those sort of comics when I was a kid. And I think they really weighed off big on me. Slain, especially. There used to be a comic cartoon character called Slain. Absolutely loved him. That for me was, I remember when I was a kid doodling Slain, and there was like a pure Celtic warrior fantasy, all swords and axes sort of cartoon work, and I think that's definitely something that's probably stayed in the back of my mind and inspired, and it's been lying there dormant until the tales have come out, for sure.
Wow. Yeah, I grew up trying to be an artist and never got the hang of it. My buddy, who I grew up with, was just talented as hell. No training at all, but he could just draw like you wouldn't believe the cartoons. I'm drawing stick figures. Matter of fact, I think one of my best productions ever was a guy called Sticky Man, which was a stick figure superhero that used to run around. I'm looking over here in the UO radio, or in the IRC chat. We got Yasu has joined us from Wakayama Clan. We got Kenny that joined us. In any case, let's talk about, I think you said you had no plans or aspirations, I should say. What are your plans? And feel free to give us spoilers. We want spoilers. Your fans do. Okay, Eggman? This is going to be my last question for you, and then I'll move on to Cybernickel. And, of course, you're welcome to stick around with us as my little Ed McMahon or whatever you want to be. Because I know it's late over there in the UK, where Eggman is located, by the way, people. But your plans versus future cartoons and, wallpapers. What do you got in the works, buddy? Give us some teasers. Give people a reason to go visit CaesareanTales.com.
Right. Okay. Well, I'm trying to expand the site. I would like. Because there's a few people who I've had contact me saying, I'd like to get into the cartooning side and how do you do this and what programs do you use, and I've replied to them. I would like, for me, it's always been Caesarean Tales. It's never been my site. It's always been everybody's site. From everything. It used to be hosted by Outs. It was great. He used to host it for a while for me. That now BB hosts it for me. He even gave me an early Christmas present and bought me the domain, the .com domain. A lot of the storylines that come in are from people and ideas. I'm constantly getting ideas from people. The characters in the toons are people who play. I like to use this. I don't enjoy using my own creations all the time. I like using actual in-game characters. I think people can relate to it more. So for me, it's always been a community thing, and I always try to enforce that. I'd like to push that a little bit further and get people in. I don't know, any ideas that want to come through, then I'd be happy to take them on board. I was thinking maybe short stories or other people's short tunes or pictures, and doing maybe something, a tune of the week or picture of the week, animation of the week or story of the week, just to get other people more involved and push across that community side of things more. I'm looking towards maybe a new look, try and change the look of it. I like to change the music frequently. Edgan does the music for the site. For those of you that don't know who Edgan is, he's the guy who does all the music for Halo, and he's done music scores for films, and he does fan film music and stuff. We've got, I don't know, I'm looking, trying to make it more community. I tended to stay away from things like forums. It was an idea on the horizon at first, but I've tended to stay away from things like forums and ICQ. I would rather direct people more towards UO Radio and people like that, and give you guys that side of things, because I like to feel that I'm part of that. The way I say it's a community thing. You get like the same as what you guys say. We're all one big community. So if I can get that across, and I can get just everybody on board, and link a bit more, then all the better. I'd like, to be honest, for people to just send in ideas, more wallpapers, more tunes. I don't know, just more.
All right. Before we have you move down a seat and have Cybernickel sit in, now that you've warmed that seat up for him on my old Jay Leno couch here, give people an idea how to get in touch with you. Other than CaesareanTales.com, they got a contact link and stuff. But if they want to talk to you in general, do you have an ICQ number you want to post? That sort of thing. And remind them as well what sort of stuff you're looking for if they have an idea for a cartoon, if they want to do a signature, that sort of stuff. Give us the details. Let's hear your resume, Eggman.
Well, like I say, you've got a link in there. When you go to the site, you've got a contact me link you can go to. It's basically it's just CaesareanTales@hotmail.co.uk. you can actually use that MSN. I'm always signed in with that on MSN as well. I use Trillion, so I've got my private mail accounts, and I'll always have the Cesarian Sales mail open as well. So if anybody wants to get in contact with me via MSN, feel free to. I'm always there. I love talking to people. It's like I say, I've been saying all the way through today's talk. It's, for me, Euro's a community thing, and just talking to, I love getting mails from people, just even to say hi Eggman, or like, oh, I've got an idea for the next tune, and I love it. So sure, you can use the contact me link, cesariansales@hotmail.co.uk. The ICQ, I don't know off the top of my head, but I'll post it in the IRC in a minute for people if they want to contact me. And sure, just contact me. The site's coming up to it's had a few other names throughout the past, but Cesarian Tales itself is coming up to its first year's anniversary. So there's a good few things on the horizon. I'm going to try and set up a few things, competitions and a bit of interaction for people. So the more people contact me now with ideas and things, great. We can hopefully plan something for the anniversary.
I think that won't be an issue, and I think the next gentleman who is coming up next might be able to help out with that. I want to thank you, Eggman, being a friend of mine. You have no idea how much I appreciate you being here with us today. And you are very welcome to stick around if you would like. I know it's very late over there. We're going to move on to Cybernickel. But in the meantime, Eggman, do you have any last thoughts you'd like to say out? Any thank yous? Any whatever? We thank you, first of all, here at Euro Radio, because you've done so much for us, and don't think we don't appreciate it. But if you have any thank yous or hellos or whatever you'd like to do, any shout-outs, now's your chance, buddy.
Oh, well, yeah, it's thanks to you guys at Euro Radio for sure, because you're the ones who keep me going. You always keep me entertained while I'm doing the tunes. So I've always got time for you guys. You keep up the good work, and just basically thanks to everyone in the Euro community, and the Shard, definitely the Shard where Cesarian Sales started out. It wouldn't exist if it wasn't for Obs. So it's just thanks to everyone, basically, all those people that get in contact with the site, but you guys for sure, keep up the good work.
And he managed to get through a whole interview without saying the word bloke. Can you imagine that? What a great guy.
Bloke.
There we go. Feel free to hang out, Eggman. I'm going to have you move down a chair, and we're going to bring up Cybernickel here. A lot of people, I would assume that, and we'll find out the actual numbers in a minute. I'm sure he doesn't have a spreadsheet or anything, but I would assume that many, many people on every single shard in UO have interacted with Cybernickel at one time or another. There is no doubt in my mind. This is how I met the man, having bought, on a weekly basis, blank scrolls, Nightshade, so that I could bribe my friends who made me poison kegs all the time. But anyways, Cybernickel, why don't you go ahead and just say hello to everybody? And just to give you a forewarning, this man, who I've played with in game on several occasions, is like talking to Robin Williams while you try to play UO. So, just so you know, go put your Depends on. This guy's a funny guy. Cybernickel, go ahead and say hello to everybody.
Hello, everyone. How am I supposed to follow up with that? I wouldn't have any idea the number 219,473 different people I've met with in the game.
Oh, and to answer the question that I posted on the Siege forum to get everybody in here, he's not a woman, obviously, or he is a woman with a very deep voice. No, that was a hook. I apologize. Let's start out with the deep stuff first, I guess. The scripting, and yes, I'm going to do the what the F cat kind of thing. A problem with scripting? What? Huh? Because here on Siege, we don't really worry about it. How's that affecting the brokerage business as a whole? You personally?
Oh, scripting, where to begin? You look at, between scripting and duping, of course, it's changed brokering totally, especially on the production shards. When you're able to pick up $1 million gold for $1, $1.50 in that range on a production shard, where a couple years ago it was 20.25, it's had a dramatic effect. I think you're going to see a dramatic effect in account status, the number of accounts on you, for the simple fact that, brokers used to sell, I used to sell my 30-day game time codes, 5-6 million, which was just an outrageous amount. But when you're paying $16 for a code and, you're only getting $1.50 for $1 million gold, it's kind of tough to continue that. I think you're going to see a lot of people that have relied on game time codes to play the game that won't be able to, for the simple fact they don't have the time to make the gold to be able to purchase the codes.
Yeah, that brings up a good point. A lot of people are going to drop out of the game because they can't afford to pay for it in real life money, and they rely on gold to do it. So I guess that moves on to the next question, which is basically with the idea of proficiencies or something equivalent, which will come up eventually, which will make farming much more difficult for people. Are you concerned with that?
Oh, yeah. You get to look at it, not always is farming scripting. You have regular farming. That's how we collect most of the things we have on Siege that we do with. But yeah, it's going to make it a little more difficult. And indeed, if that is the way things go, then you probably see, with everything else, the prices go up on it. So there's a pro and a con to everything.
Exactly. One thing I noticed that I saw on eBay the other day that somebody had, I don't have the link anymore, I wish I had saved it. I don't have it though. Otherwise I'd give it to you. I think eBay actually deleted it. And I'm sure other people who surf eBay saw it. There was gold going for 75 cents a million on the production shards. When you see that as one of the largest brokers, multi-shard brokers, does that concern you? And if so, why?
Oh, it's always concerning. I guess I look at it, I broker for a couple different reasons than my competitors do. I have a couple of brokers that are very good friends of mine, but they do this 24/7. It's their livelihood for it. As I've stated before, I'm more of a pay my golf habit and provide a service for the game. But as prices, there's pros and cons to it. As you continue to see gold rates drop, it's going to make it easier to pick up things in the game. The other side of it, though, as the multiple amounts of gold hit out there, then you're seeing, other ways prices going up. It's inflation, I guess, is the best way to put it from a UO standpoint.
Yeah, and it's complete inflation, and that's why I'm glad we have you here today, is to explain that to the people, how this is really hurting the broker business. I know people look at brokers and immediately assume, oh God, eBay is ruining UO and that sort of thing. You do so much, though, in-game business. Where would you say your business is basically, what's the percentage between the sales you make on eBay versus the sales you make in game? Because the way I got to know you was basically on in-game interactions, sales, buying stuff from you, just ICQing you and sending you a payment, and in meeting you in game. How would you say nowadays in UO the percentage? Where's the ratio between in-game and eBay sales goes?
Well, from my standpoint, let's break it down this way. Probably 75% of my business now is Siege, where probably a year ago it was 40-50%. A lot of people say that eBay, it's ruining UO. Yet, if you take a look at Siege, for instance, the value of codes, the value of money in the game hasn't changed a lot. Yeah, it's declined a little bit, but it hasn't changed a lot. Main reason is you can't farm or script on Siege like you can other shards, and the other one is you can't transfer to and from, which is what actually drew me to Siege. Several years ago, being told by a friend of mine that got me into Ultima, tell me about this advanced player shard, and I thought, yeah, I'll give it a try. And you log into Brit. I thought, well, we'll go to Despise and get a little money generated because you couldn't sell anything, and I'm not even halfway there, and I got whacked. And I think I got whacked about 3 times and never did get to Despise. And to be honest, I don't think I've ever gotten there on Siege yet. But there wasn't anybody moving gold to and from Siege per se. I mean, you got to have it on Siege before somebody can sell it from production shards to it. And the only way to get it, of course, is to go out and farm. So started selling a bit that way and found that, you're not always on game, and then start doing the vendor thing, started a vendor house, and I would say of my Siege sales, 50-50, in-game sales and eBay sales.
Really? Okay, that's good to know. The only reason I asked that is because I know that the people over on U-Haul, sorry, I got to shiver up my spine when I said the word.
That was a bad word.
I know. Keep talking about how bad and evil the eBay sales are, because they associate anybody who does eBay sales with scripting. Immediately they assume if you're selling on eBay, you're scripting. What are your thoughts on the scripters, man? I know on Siege it's not an issue for you. You can't script on Siege. You can. You're not going to get away with it for very long, though. And I know that's your home shard now. So what are your thoughts about it over on the production shards? I mean, I know it's out of control, but what do you think?
I think it's one of those things where EA's in a difficult standpoint. I mean, they script your stuff to pay for accounts, whether it's buying game time codes or paying for it. So they're kind of, you eliminate the scripters, you eliminate, I'm solely guessing, 10, 20,000 accounts. So there will be a financial drop in it. But that being said, you got a problem that, I guess part of it is you can get in and create a character fairly quick on a production shard. And you can GM it fairly quick and be able to do a lot of things where Siege and Rod, it takes you a couple weeks before you can GM a skill. And so you got all these guys that make up new accounts, create characters and run them until they get nailed by the GMs, and then just jump and start another account. Part of it, I think, for one thing, it's difficult always to identify scripting, which is and isn't. Sometimes it's very obvious, but I think a lot of times there's so much of it going on that the GMs, if you do it for one, you got to do it for all, and it's difficult for them to be able to nail the scripters from that standpoint. That being said, though, scripting has, for the most part, done a lot of the ruining of the economy in the game and taken a lot of the fun out of it. Early days, even on production shards, my early days, getting 100,000 gold would take me a week or 2 weeks to do it. you know, you can go out now and pick up $1 million in gold in less than a week real easy.
Yeah, that's a good point. There have been nights where you and I have been out and, you know, farming dragons or something like that, and we still never pulled in 100K.
It's difficult to do it. I think the biggest thing, though, that's hurt UO, that's just my own personal opinion, is when Age of Shadows come out and they went to the LRC suits, it took a lot of the, you didn't have to have rigs, you didn't have to have different things in these suits, you could move around real freely. And before, you know, when you went to recall from a location, early on, it was always, geez, do I have enough rigs? Got to make sure I have enough rigs on me. True, that went away. And speaking with some of the developers, their true intent was never to be 100% LRC. But that's kind of taken that part of the game out of it. You don't have to worry about, am I going to get stuck somewhere because I don't have rigs to get back to town and recall or gate. You don't have that side of it. Well, now I'm stuck out here. You find yourself running the game, and now you can just move freely throughout the game. It's got its pros and cons. I love my 100% suits. Yeah, on the other side, it's taken a part of the game away also.
Resources, that's a good point. UO used to be resource intensive. Now it's not. You do have people who run around not relying on resources at all, especially on production shards. And now you can run around and regs sit on the ground, ignored. I mean, it kind of bites. The resource gatherers go around and collect them and put them on deeds and spend hours upon hours. I mean, well, let me get into this then. That brings me into the subject here. When you go and collect stuff like regions, blank scrolls, etc., what's your daily routine? Let's talk about that. Everybody wants to know, what is the Cybernickel's daily routine? Because we know you stock a lot of stuff constantly, whether it's on the Siege vendor or from your website, which is, by the way, let me post that link there. But go ahead, Cybernickel, and let us know, what do you do on a normal daily basis?
I get up, go to work, get home at night, log on, deliver. No, I do, to be quite honest, I don't do a lot of my own farming anymore. I have different people, especially even on Siege. You know, you get the new guild that come out, new players. They're looking to generate gold to be able to buy stuff to us up the game. So I have people always wanting to sell stuff or sell resources. If I was to try to stock everything on my own directly, it'd never work. I do most of it. The regs I do myself, and I have my wife likes to do that part. It's about the only part of UO that she likes. But you camp at the faction vendors and you buy like crazy for several hours until you stock up, and then you're done.
That's good. Put it on the old woman. Give her the job to do that. I love it. For those who are not tuned or not in the IRC chat, the link to Cybernickel's site, by the way, is uo.cybernickel.com. That's where you go to his site if you want to order stuff from him. You definitely want to check out the prices. They're not bad, especially during this inflation that we're going through. Let me switch this over to, we go on resources. What about stuff like on the production charts, for example? I know how you do it on Siege, and we won't go into that. But on the production charts, go ahead, Eggman, you have something to say, go ahead.
I was just going to ask, are you sort of like a creature of habit, where you where you do things like rares and things, like where you know, right, I'm working on collecting the reagents and things, but by 2 o'clock I've got to be over I've got to be over by Luna because I know there's going to be a rock spawning. Have you got sort of like a rare schedule where you know things are going to be spawning by certain times, whatever?
You know, you pick up spawning roughly is a 20 to 30 minute. I think it's right at 30 minutes. And so I know that when I'm faction vendors, for instance, you run through the vendors. You know, you can run through and buy them out in about 10 minutes, and then I get in the habit just to see what the time is and know, okay, 20 minutes from now, go back and check and buy from that standpoint. I haven't really done a lot of stuff from spawning of rares and those type of things. The stuff that I've had from that standpoint, again, been people that want to sell them for gold, and I turn around either put them on vendors, or if it's something that can sell outside of the game that people are interested in, we do it that way also.
Yep, that's the way to do it. Now that occurs on every single shard. Like been out hunting with you on Siege, but on the production shards, basically, do you just like recruit people to go out and hunt for you? Because there's absolutely no way that you could spend like 3 hours with out farming horned leather, for example, like when you take me and Catherine out with Malika and stuff like that over on Siege. There's no way you could do that on the production charts, not on all of them. Do you send people out who literally, do you recruit people? How do you gather those resources?
I really don't recruit. You know, I used to years ago. I'd post on TradeSpot when they had their previous owner, and I'd recruit from that stand people. It's gotten to the point now where I have enough people that I sell when I do swap out. It's usually either for gold or most of it's for game time codes. So people will collect. We've got it down to a certain, you know, so much spend leather's worth a 30-day game time code, those type of things. Restocking from that standpoint. I've got one individual who that just do from a, what's the good way to word it? He's disabled, and so he's unable to leave his home. So he spends a lot of time in UO, and he's probably one of my primary suppliers from that standpoint.
Well, that's good to know. Good to know. Absolutely. Probably one of the reasons that I wanted to have you on here today is to give people a standpoint from the legitimate brokers that are out there these days, that are not out there to make $1 million like they do, like the scripters do, and all this other crap that's going off on UO Hall. There are still brokers out there that are really legitimate. Eggman, go ahead. You have a question.
I was just wondering, have you ever thought of like recruiting this noob army? They could sort of just go out and get all your regs for you, and you could pay them, say, like 1,000 GP at the end of the day. They'd be really happy, and you'd end up with loads of stock, wouldn't you?
Oh, let me just interject real quick. Just real quick. Cybernickel is actually, at least on a Siege standpoint, a very interactive person with our new guild, where he will grab resources from them at any point he can. So, Cybernickel, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, most of my, I would say probably of the things that I don't farm myself, for instance, ingots, wood, a lot of that type of stuff. I have a lot of new characters or new players in that guild that are looking to generate gold. And that's what makes, I guess, Siege so much more interesting, and probably why the value in Siege hasn't changed dramatically like it has in the others, is you can't go out and farm a ton of several million ingots and go to town and be converting them to shields and sell them, or however they're doing it, because your NPC vendors don't buy it. You have to have an actual living person that's going to buy it. So it's not generating a lot of gold into the game from that standpoint. So there's a need there. So from my standpoint, yeah, if they've got stuff they want to sell, especially the newbie guild, I'll buy like crazy.
Yeah, That rocks. And I wish more shards had that. I know we had Sears and we had the companions or whatever they're called for a long time. We don't have that very often. On Siege, we kind of had to do our own thing. And I'm not promoting or soliciting Siege or anything like that, but it is actually a necessary thing. And the newbie guild on Siege, which is new, NEW, is actually promotes that sort of thing. They go out and they do their thing because they're training their skills anyways. It's a way to make money because you can't sell to the NPCs. You have to rely on the community. I'm going to move on to the next subject, which is you had a very, very successful event. I think that was in March. Yep, March it was. There are hints, allegations, and rumors that there's another one coming up. Want to give us any hints, Cybernickel?
Well, yeah, I'll give you a hint. Late August, early September, we will have another event. This event, the other one went really well and I enjoyed it. But part of the desire I had for the first event was, one, give back to the community of Siege. The second one was to kind of, we all get caught up in our different areas we like to play the game in. We don't visit a lot of the areas out there. And so it was my attempt to try to get people to visit a lot of lands or a lot of areas they hadn't been into. This next event, previous event, you could go, you could get on Stratix, and we'd tell you, the clues would tell you some of the things were there, and it was very easy to go to Stratix and figure out where this location is. I can tell you on the next event, there will pinpoint to a certain location, but it won't be easy to determine off of Stratix. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, you may want to visit a lot of the lands between now and then to get a pretty good idea of what's there, the numbers that are in a location, and what you might or might not see.
He's being secretive. No, that's a good thing. I participated in that event, the last one at least, and had a great time with it. For those who are listening, who didn't participate in Cybernickel's last event, watch out for it. Trust me, it is going to be. It will be, if it's anything like the last one, it will be spectacular because he gives a huge prize base away, which is giving back to the community, and on top of that, trust me, it is so much fun. So much fun. Even as a newbie character, the way the riddles and everything else is worked out, you have a shot. Go ahead and expand on that, Cyber.
Well, I think one of the things that and it was hilarious. It was fun to be able to watch the event take place. To be quite honest, you had to get locations. You had to have characters there, and 3 o'clock that day, you're working your way into this location with either stealth or however to get there so that you don't get knocked off. But it was one of the things that we noticed. It was really fun. You had to quote a phrase when you're running around, and so here you've got these people are helping with the event, and we're hidden, and you got these people running around screaming, holler this quote to try to draw out the event people. This time around, there'll be a special attire that everyone will have to be wearing to participate in the event.
Ooh, can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, clothes.
Oh, you're so cruel. What a tease. Okay, so
we're going to make it interesting this time. I think the big thing, and between now and July, We got a lot of feedback from the first event, and want to try to get a lot more feedback. Again, we want to make it so it's an enjoyable event, but we want to make it so that you don't have to be a diehard to participate. You can be a newbie character. It may be a little tougher, but I will make sure that the event could be completed by a newbie character. I think one of the things I did on the first one is actually created some newbie characters to see if I could get to the locations.
Good idea. I remember running with you as a ghost as we checked out the spots, and yeah, it was basically siege oriented for veteran characters. I didn't even think about it until the event actually took place myself. But that'll be great because that'll bring people over to Siege. And just to remind everybody, when people do this event, you do not have to create a Siege character in order to stay on Siege. Just come and participate. It's kind of like the Wakayama events we had about 3, 4, 5 months ago. You come over to have fun for one night. Come play in a land where you can get whacked without even turning around in Malice or in Luna or wherever. Anyways, what I want to do is go ahead and I'm going to wrap up the show pretty quick. I would like Cybernickel to give us some ideas about, or give us the details on how to get in touch with you, how you prefer to be addressed, as far as people placing orders. Give us the details. Your chance to plug, buddy.
I like to keep it pretty simple. ICQ seems to be the best, except for when I'm on travel. Email. All my contact information in various ways can be found at the uo.cybernickel.com. I tend to browse the Stratix Siege forum on a fairly regular basis. And in game, I do have it, the one vendor house in Umbra, that we do have the bulletin board there. We do get some information from people that if they don't ICQ or they don't email as much, they can post there and try to get information back to them that way.
Okay, I do have, now that you bring up, because basically the way I know Cybernickel, although I bought from him before I came over to Siege, is through Siege Perilous, of course. I gotta ask, how do you survive? I know that you've called me on ICQ a number of times going, there are people attacking my customers. Can you come help? I know you have a tamer. Tell us about your characters. I want to hear about your characters. And after that, I'm going to ask Eggman the same thing because I forgot to ask him earlier.
My philosophy is fear. Run a lot. I am a very, very, I guess when I was talking to Eggman, I listened to Eggman earlier, he said he didn't PvP. I suck at PvP. So that, my, character-wise, I have my GM Tamer, which I use for my leather farming and those type of things, yeah. And that makes it pretty easy. Something like let the dragon do all the work and sit back and watch.
Get it off, yeah. Get it off. Ow, this is going to hurt.
I've found, though, in the last 9 months that farming with other people can be just a riot, especially different comments and things that are made. I've got way too many characters as part of the problem. I have a GM mage that I've started playing with. Really, in the past, hadn't played a lot of the majory part of the game, other than recalling and gating and such. So started playing with that a little bit, and started getting into the factions a little bit. I'm hoping that UO and some of the upcoming publishers will enhance faction play and bring back some of the value there, because there's a lot of fun that can go on there. Even if you're a blue character or a red character walking through town, if you're in a faction, that's one of the toughest lessons I learned from that standpoint. Is I'm sitting at the Scarab Bank, my characters are all blue, and all of a sudden I start getting whacked, and I'm thinking, what did I do? And I was in the Minix faction. So factions, that's one of the things I'd like to see enhanced. I do have, that's my primary character from that standpoint is the GM Mage. Exodor, which is my primary, is mostly just for sales and run around stocking the vendors and such.
Okay, good to know. Good to know. Yeah, Exodor is the first one I ever met. I think it was over on Sonoma when I first got turned on to Cybernickel's website and bought a bunch of scrolls because I accidentally deleted my treasure hunter that I had had for like 6 years, I think it was. That I created my treasure hunter. I had to buy a bunch of scrolls to retrain cartography. Of a horrible experience. But luckily, we have that because there's nothing worse than running around, hitting the NPCs and waiting for them to restock and that sort of thing. So we're glad to have people like Cybernickel, a broker, to do that sort of thing. Don't forget and I'm not going to upstage Cybernickel here, but he's not the only broker. We have our own Viceroy who's a broker too. Not our own, because he's off on other projects with MMOGradio.com. But it's uo.cybernickel.com is the URL for his website. You can go over there. You will get the prices in gold and in dollars. Let me ask you this, Cybernickel, before we close for the day. And I'm going to go on to Eggman and ask him about his characters too. What's your preference, cash or gold?
Actually, well, cash is always nice. But actually, gold I can use in the game for a lot of other things. So actually, to me, it really doesn't matter because the cash that I do get turns around, and for the most part, buys more codes for swapping out resources from that standpoint. And occasionally, picking up a few of those little golf toys and some other things like that I have to pick up at times. Having not to get away from the interview a little bit, but I do have my kids are getting into golf now, and so some of that golf habit is not my own, but also my kids from that standpoint that the proceeds take care of.
No, trust me, Ashley it will definitely be, when she hits the LPGA tour, she will be thanking DJ Spiderbite on her interview. No, I look forward to coming up to Idaho and giving her golf lessons. Anyways, I want to thank you. You are a very good friend of mine, by the way. And so is the Eggman. And the Eggman, I want to hear from you, buddy. Let's hear about your characters in UO before we wrap it up for the day.
Well, I normally stick to the same template all the time, which is I'll make a warrior, normally always based around it'll be Eggman, Eggmungus, whatever, and it's kind of my breadwinner, and then I'll focus on the trader. I'll make a trader and I'll bank it, and that's my community bit. That's where I meet people and I do my trading and everything. But I found out recently when I went to Siege I could only make one character. So I sort of did a completely off the wall thing and totally changed the structure the way I do things, and I thought, well, I'll make like a Dexter. I made fencing and high dexterity as opposed to normal when I do my swords and strength, and I totally changed the way I did everything, and it was actually based on listening to the guys in the IRC and what they were saying about Dexters and Fencers, and I thought I'd give it a try, and I made this starting in Discovery that I'm still crap. It don't matter what I do. I'm still rubbish. So, you know, if you see me there, I'm fresh meat. I can't fight, but I can run fast. You can chase me.
Yes, and trust me, don't ever worry about it, Egg. On as far as your character on Siege goes, you can be the worst PvP in the whole world, like me, and you will still have a lot of fun and make a lot of friends and make a lot of enemies. That's good to know. Cybernickel had something else to add. Go ahead, buddy.
I was going to throw out, and I've started on a little project, and I guess what I'm looking for is some feedback. You know, you see a lot of different things that go around. I'm looking at doing some T-shirts for UO. If there's individuals that are interested, if I can get enough of an interest in it, I'm going to pick up some of those. And to be quite honest, a lot of it's going to point towards Siege, just to, again, as another thank you for the support I've received.
Well, that's good to know, because you're in the right channel with the right guy. You're here with the Eggman. So you guys need to swap information. And Eggman, what do you think about that? Help out one of UO's biggest brokers?
Hey man, just contact me, whatever you need. Like I say, I normally give stuff away. It's all part of the fun for me. So if you need anything or whatever, just either go through the site or talk to me in IRC. I'm game. I'm always up for a bit of fun. So yeah, sure. Give me a shout.
Yeah, a bit of fun. A bit of fun. I love it. Hey, I want to thank you guys both for being on here. We're actually going to wrap things up a little bit early. I will probably jump on afterwards just to follow up on today's interviews, and then we'll move on to our next DJ. I want to remind everybody that in a couple of hours we are going to have our debut for our latest DJ, Quintico, or Quintico, however you want to pronounce it. Who does actually, and this is, I'm sorry if this sounds like a Siege biased interview today, but it wasn't planned. He's going to go on in his debut, so we're looking for him to watch him crash and burn. If he doesn't, it'll be disappointing. No, we're hoping he does well. He should do a great job. I trained him myself. If he doesn't, I get to take the blame. So with that said, let me go ahead and, Cybernickel, did you have anything you want to say before we go ahead and sign off for the day?
Just thank you for the opportunity, and just, again, thank all the players for the support they've been. I really appreciate it. And anything I need to help, please let me know.
You know, you never have to thank the players for their support. We thank you for your support. And remember that as a broker. We do appreciate the legitimate brokers out there. That's one of the reasons that I'd like to have you here today. I know you're my buddy, but it's beyond that. As a broker, you're a legitimate broker and not a scripter or anything like that, and we appreciate you. Eggman, go ahead. If you have anything to say, go ahead and say it to the listeners.
Just a few thanks, really. Just thanks to all the people who like come and visit the site and keep it going. The interactions, what keeps it going, and especially thanks to you guys at UO Radio. You know, it's you keep me entertained all the time, so it's a two-way thing for me. And just one more thing before I go. I heard you saying the other day you've always wanted to hear a Brit say these few words I'm going to say. So these parting words are for you, mate. I owned you, noob.
Yes, I do. I have a friend I wish was in that lives in the UK that I always begged him to say that. I owned you, noob, and he would never. He refused to get in the voice and say that to me. So I appreciate that. Wow, you gave me my early Christmas present. I appreciate it. Okay. to visit Eggman's website, it's CesarianTales.com. Go check out the wallpapers. Go check out the tunes, the tales. For Cybernickel, it's uo.cybernickel.com in order to order whatever you need. All of your UO resources needs. I want to thank both of you guys, gentlemen, for joining me today. We're looking forward to doing more interviews like this in the future. The way it's going to work from now on Saturdays, we're no longer looking at a guild interview status. Now, if there's a personality you feel needs to be interviewed, send me an ICQ, 6604-638, or send me an email at spiderbite@uoradio.com, and I will take a look and see if it's yes, Quintico. Worm will be interviewed eventually. In any case, I'm going to sign off for the day, or actually I'm going to sign off for about 2 seconds, and then I'm going to sign on for about 20 minutes until the next DJ comes on. So catch me in about 20 minutes, or catch me in about 20 seconds, actually. Have a great afternoon and a good weekend.